For the most part, I'm a bit of a contractor's nightmare. I am the walking blueprint for the design elements.
Opening soon follows the true story of a restaurateur's vision from concept to opening night.
There's definitely a bigger risk now because we're dealing with the involvement of more of our own monies.
I think you're crazy. This is a butcher shop and this is closed.
It's taken too long, so it's not, excitement anymore. It's just hope. Hurry up. The front section are going to be this base with these other hanging pieces that I can see way off in the distance.
In Toronto, many hip young designers and restaurateurs look elsewhere for inspiration.
If I see another, hotel or bar restaurant name itself after a New York street or neighborhood, I'm gonna throw up. It's pathetic.
Brad Denton finds inspiration closer to home.
I think the city needs to really start taking care of what we have and what's been there before and pay homage to that.
The 30-year-old designer's latest project was inspired by an abandoned butcher shop situated among the trendy cafes and galleries on Queen Street West.
That sign is so prevalent. It's been there forever. Those big block letters, and it's been hanging there since 1924. And the font on the sign motivated me to want to do, a small, cool little bar for the neighborhood.
This isn't Brad's first foray into business. At 23, he opened a successful bar in Halifax and now distributes Brazilian flip-flops across North America with his wife, Luca. Brad's plan didn't initially get her stamp of approval.
I thought he was completely nuts. And I'm like, oh, I think you're crazy. This is a butcher shop and this is closed.
But despite Luca's misgivings, Brad leased the space and he's been working on it for a year and a half. Its interior was a time capsule, with moldering sausages still hanging from the wall. The gutted space has become his canvas for a unique 3-story bar, restaurant, and lounge called Czehoski.
I think the place should speak the way the comfort of a pub, the soul of an art gallery, and then let the old store for what it was sort of creep through and let it sort of continue its lifespan.
With this in mind, he's designing it himself, incorporating many of the butcher shop's existing elements.
This old cooler was here since the 30s, and we didn't move it, and we're not going to move it. The bar, each one of these is a floor beam, and we decided to recycle it through, and all these are the nail marks and stuff that you can see up here. But on the second floor, it's exactly those beams. Yeah, this was put here in the 20s, and we didn't move it, we just sanded it down. And this is the way the kitchen guys get into the kitchen. And they'll stroll through, and then around the corner is what will be our open kitchen.
So far, there's no kitchen, no chef, and only the Vegas menu concept, high-end Canadian comfort food.
It's a great descriptive for me to tell you, to say that we're doing Canadian food, because really I can give you anything, and I'm right.
This yet-to-be-determined food will be eaten in a simple gallery-like dining room on the main floor.
It'll be a polished cement surface and black leather bench seats that start here with a little stairway up.
Upstairs, smaller plates will be served in a soaring 2-story lounge.
This is sort of that space that gives that reprieve if you just want to meet friends for a great beer, a glass of wine, or a light appetizer. I always had my own little vision of how I'd do that space, but now it's expanded into this really sizable project that we didn't really budget for or anticipate.
Unfortunately, the project's $500,000 budget did not match the scale of Brad's vision. A year into the reno, his partner and chief investor abandoned him.
This guy panicked and decided to pull out, and we found ourselves at a crossroads where we had already gutted the building and we officially had no money.
Brad and Luca were forced to leverage their other business.
We had to come up with something else, and Havaianas was making money.
With funds from their flip-flop company and money borrowed from family and friends, they've maxed out all their resources.
This is Dave. It's gonna be the bar. There's definitely a bigger risk now because we're dealing with, you know, the involvement of more of our own monies.
You are in the rain, you gotta get wet. It's nothing you can do.
Now, as the project enters its 18th month, the time pressure is growing, and so is the budget.
Well, the budget's definitely swelled. I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's definitely swelled, yeah.
But for Brad, Czehoski is less a business than a piece of installation art.
Every day, the business decisions and the art decisions are headbutting inside my own head. I really touch heavily on the art end of the project. We really treat it more like a sculpture now, because if we can't back the argument with it, you know, being art, which can justify any expense, then we would have walked if it was just for the business decision, so.
They haven't come to view this space yet. They might walk in and go, you know, buddy, you're nuts.
Czehoski has been under construction for almost 2 years and is 6 weeks past its scheduled opening. Despite the mounting costs, Brad's vision keeps evolving and holding up construction.
Well, I guess for the most part, I'm a bit of a contractor's nightmare. I am the walking blueprint for the design elements, and every time I drop in, it's sort of like, well, why don't we do this? And I know that's a contractor's nightmare.
Yesterday, a crew abandoned the project, leaving plaster all over the floor.
Not my job, but if I want it done, it's my responsibility.
Brad has a rather unorthodox plan for the floor. Today, a subcontractor will coat it with liquid rubber.
They haven't come to view this space yet. They might walk in and go, you know, buddy, you're nuts.
4 areas will get the treatment.
This is getting the rubber?
The rubber material as well, right?
That's right. And then there's one more upstairs.
Liquid polyurethane is poured on the floor and will set at room temperature overnight. The result will be an anti-slip, waterproof surface that is more comfortable to walk on than conventional flooring. All goes smoothly, and Brad's optimism swells.
So 17 days from now, barring any other inconveniences, we should be opening.
3 days later, despite Brad's predictions, Czehoski is still not open. But instead of screaming at contractors, he's out looking for the perfect fixture.
He adores antique shops, and he gets inspired by a door handle from 1935. From there on, everything develops.
We keep checking back in, and we always find cool things to pick up and take home.
While Brad continues to refine his vision, Luca turns her attention to food. Chef Martin Warnick has worked in some of Toronto's finest kitchens. This will be his first chance to shine as executive chef.
Like, ideally, I'd have a menu that was just appetizers.
Yeah.
Which I do a lot of the
Right.
times.
We just
Yeah.
get all different tastes.
Yeah.
I like it.
You just do it.
But for now, Martin's ideas are regulated to paper. The kitchen is nowhere near completion.
When people sort of tell you that, you know, we're going to be open at a certain time or not, and that sort of passes, you get frustrated by that. A little antsy, but I can wait. I've waited long enough, so that's fine.
4 weeks later, Czehoski's still not open. The kitchen is in, but Martin is gone.
Grilled cheese sandwiches, dude.
Keeping chefs on staff when you have construction delays is not the easiest thing to do.
But instead of hunting for a new chef, Brad fixates on design. Today, he visits his father's metalwork factory to check out prototypes for the tables and stools he's designed.
The most fun for this project is the making of the things that make the room special.
We've designed a lot of stuff over the years. I like what he's doing with it. So it's got a history, and I think that's where his ideas come out. Me, I just build it and do it.
This is just for the formal dining room. We want a really clean line. This is just a fake mock-up made with veneer.
Brad's father is also restoring the original tin ceiling
So
tiles.
that's how they come out after they've been burnt off in the oven.
Brad plans to mount them on the face of the bar.
So that's after the stuff's been scratched off. And we're just gonna cut and form in the edges and then mount them on the face. That is a big incline though.
Back at Czehoski, the seating has been delivered, but it's too much too soon.
It's great that it's done. It's just a little premature for our construction phase right now, so I just hope it doesn't get dirty or damaged up here. We figured if a small stain can happen with 1 glass of coffee, that if we use 15 pots of coffee and work it around with a squeegee, we could probably get a cooler stain.
It's been over 2 years since construction started on Czehoski, and Brad's missed another deadline, this time by 4 months. The season has changed, and so has Brad's appearance.
It's taken too long, so it's not you know, excitement anymore. It's just, oh, hurry up. Reduced to a man who doesn't shower anymore.
That's what that smell is.
I believe construction will be done the first week of February. Some drywalling has to be done in the basement and in the kitchen.
That gives them 8 weeks, but Brad won't be rushed, especially now that his vision is finally starting to materialize. He's excited about the dining room floor, which was transformed when he accidentally spilled a cup of coffee.
We figured if a small stain can happen with 1 glass of coffee, that if we use 15 pots of coffee and work it around with a squeegee, we could probably get a cooler stain. I love it. I love the color, and I love the look of it, so it was a good mistake.
The sink in the men's washroom is an old butcher block with beer tap fixtures.
We're gonna make our own Czehoski taps, and the guys will pull their own water, like they're pulling a beer. Because what guy doesn't like to pull his own beer?
Well, exactly.
And the ceiling tile that eventually turned up has been used on the base of the upstairs banquettes.
The only way we could do this was to have people with good craftsman skill sets.
Like Wilf the woodworker, who's as excited about the project as Brad is.
Always hard at work. Backbone of the nation.
He's crafted both the upstairs and downstairs bars, the facade, and the kitchen counter. Brad and Luca expect to open in 4 weeks, but the menu is still up in the air. They've had trouble finding the right chef, but in the end, the right chef found them.
We were here one day, and David Heyman walks in and was like, "It's a cool space. Who is cooking for you guys?"
The first time I came in, I spent 2 hours or so with Dave just wandering around. Him and Brad were giving us the tour, and I was asking them, you know, what direction they were going with the food and everything else.
And he said he would love to do a tasting for us.
David brought in his friend Nathan, and after a successful tasting, they were hired. They're only in their early 20s, so Brad is taking a gamble, hoping that these young chefs are as driven and as creative as he is.
To be young and to have this opportunity to kind of go ahead and do what we want in the kitchen, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time to people, that's for sure.
It's 1 month later. While waiting for the much-delayed opening, David and Nathan have planned a menu that Brad and Luca will taste for the very first time tonight.
Tonight is a special night for Luke and I because her sister, her mother, and our godchild are here from Brazil.
During the long lead-up, Canadian comfort food has morphed into something rather refined.
This is the amontillado jellies, so they're made with agar-agars. Gelatinous balls basically suspended in liquid, and it's a nice way for us to do an interesting incorporation into the soup, basically.
Actually, step in there. This is good.
It's really good.
Amazing.
Look at basketball.
This dish is steamed grouper, braised depuis lentils, which are braised in dashi, spiced Nantes carrot foam, morcilla sausage, and sauteed rapini, and then it's cinnamon oil across the purees. The food's very serious, but at the same time, we don't really want that stuffy, old school sort of feel. I mean, we're just trying to be really playful, I think, at the end. We're just having fun.
The main course is a low-temperature steak served with tobacco-infused gravy and a side shot of Armagnac.
It looks so like proper old granddad-style dinner. It's fabulous.
It surpassed my expectation. It's excellent. Yeah, I'm thrilled.
Everyone kind of likes the Armagnac, though. The little Armagnac shot glasses. It's cheesy, but it's true.
After months of setbacks and disappointments, the successful tasting is a massive relief.
It's really easy to get excited because the things they're touching on, it's not to try to make a landmark statement in the city, it's just try to be a neighborhood place with terrific food.
Opening night is supposedly 2 days away.
The worst possible time it could happen. They have to go to the bar, so there's going to be a lot of people at one computer trying to do a lot of things.
After 2.5 years of construction, Czehoski is scheduled to open its doors in just 4 hours. There's dozens of boxes to move and an entire bar to stock.
Oh, you've done the first layer. I'm sorry.
David is still training his new kitchen staff.
Don't be an idiot. This was hanging off of this. This is very expensive. These guys are amazing. It's the bottom line. They've been doing 14 and 16-hour days for the last week.
Word of Czehoski's opening has spread like wildfire. The phone is ringing off the hook.
We're just booked out solid for reservations.
1 hour to go. The dining room tables are meticulously lined up and set. Brad supervises every detail.
A few more flowers on the bar here.
At the 30-minute mark, the kitchen is in full swing.
They're ready to flip, then they'll hold together fine.
And the servers are suited up and ready to go. After investing all his money and 2.5 years of his life, Brad is finally ready to show off his masterpiece. The first guests arrive.
I feel awkward not being in my steel toe boots. It's good to see the room full of people. Yeah.
The bar is in full swing. And the first orders are in.
Table 13, it's 1 foie consomme, 1 scallop. Scallops, sherry foam, pork belly, spice squash puree, paprika. Pick up, please. We have 4 waiters. I see 1 in my eyesight right now.
Clearly, there's still some bugs to be worked out.
Nathan, you on the other side? Table 10, please, Jess.
Then, in the middle of the dinner rush, the computer system crashes.
The worst possible time it could happen. They have to go to the bar, so there's going to be a lot of people at one computer trying to do a lot of things.
Despite the problems, the kitchen has hit its stride.
Picking up bacon salmon, or, well, yes, going on.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
David and Nathan's menu is a hit.
Excellent.
Really good.
Really fabulous.
But it's the design that takes center stage.
Fantastic. I mean, the design is spectacular. It was really true to the heritage of the building, and it's a beautiful space.
I think it looks pretty damn good, eh? It really does.
Brad is still not quite satisfied.
We're still not done. We're hiding a lot of stuff on the stage, and we're hiding stuff on the 3rd floor, and we're hiding stuff in storage. But it's presentable, and it'll just keep getting better every day.
It's always a work in progress with Brad. You know, so if somebody comes up with something, you'll come up with something just a little bit off the wall, a little bit better. It's a horse's ass, but I love it. It's true.
Yeah, it's been a long journey.
Journey, but it's all worth it.
Czehoski. After 2.5 years, the curtain is finally up on a restoration drama. Find more at fineliving.com. Real information for real people.